Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another crazy cool Ricsan Custom Toys figure, but this time I have the pleasure of checking out a really cool, really new figure, and as you can see, this is actually their own custom created kaiju. This isn't something that I've ever seen in films or anything like that, so I'm actually really excited about this. I think it's very cool that Ricsan Custom Toys is on top of creating, of course, the most infamous pop icon kaiju type figures that they often make. We are also getting stuff that they are creating on their own. And as you can see, and I apologize to them if I mispronounce the name, Axoloteotl is how I assume you would say the name of this, but I can't say for sure if that is correct. But that seems to be the way that I would think you would say it. But you can see the front of the box shows off again a really cool image of the figure and the name and Ricsan Custom Toys. And as per usual, when you come to the top, you see a different shot of the figure. You can also see that this is the photographer edition, so that's pretty cool as well. And then if you come to the back, you can see your photo here, so we can put our own images back here again since this is the photographer edition. But that's really neat again to show off the different styles of releases and boxes and stuff that they have here. But you can also see up here they actually have a little description of this, and actually not just a description but an entire storyline that goes along with it, which is actually really neat. So again, very cool on the part of Ricsan Custom Toys to not only create their own kaiju, also create it with a photographer edition and give you a little story on it. So let's go ahead, pop the box open and bring it in and check it out. So here is our Axoloteotl, and look at how crazy cool this figure is. I love the fact that it has like that classic like pinkish tone, again looking very axolotl like, you know, like you would expect when it comes to a kaiju, but obviously super kaiju like as a whole. Talk about an incredible design that they've come up with. It looks insane here, and definitely is not something that I personally have ever considered as being a kaiju, something that I've never considered working well as a kaiju, but somehow it really does, and now I'm almost dying to see this in an actual movie. Like, this would be an insanely cool movie to see, and I almost hope that somebody maybe picks up on this and offers Ricsan Custom Toys a little cash in exchange for the making of a movie about this. That would be awesome. But you can see the figure again looks super cool when you get nice and close. If we pull the arms down to try to get them out of the way of the face, you can see when we get nice and close to the face, it looks so mean. It definitely is the meanest version of an axolotl I've ever seen. Those teeth look very impressive, and I like that the teeth are just kind of like all over the place, like it's not just a straight line of teeth moving through. You can see as we move through the inside of the mouth, they're just kind of all over, which again almost like V-Rex-ish or like Indoraptor-ish, stuff like that, again where the teeth are just kind of, you know, even crocodilian in some ways when it comes to the way that the teeth look. It looks super cool. We do, of course, have an articulated jaw. I can see, there we go. It was just a little bit tight as far as you know, not being moved previously, but you can see once you open the inside of the mouth, again, that is an absolute nightmarish visual of an axolotl about to bite my face off. You can see the tongue is sculpted really nicely. There's definitely some very cool paintwork in there with some reddish tones, kind of like a reddish wash, it looks like, on the inside of the mouth. And you can see the detail leading up into the inside of the mouth on the upper side also looks fantastic. The paintwork also looks quite nice, and the teeth are all painted again and sculpted individually, and they look really good as well. Very nice precise paintwork, and the articulated jaw works really nicely on top of everything. That is so cool. You can see the nostrils up here on the tip of the snout. We can also see a nice black eye for the figure. There is again the light pinkish tone, but there's also like this kind of darker pink that kind of spots through quite a few areas of the figure. As you lead up into the top of the head, you can see the detail up here looks quite nice as well. Really nice fine texturing throughout. And then as you lead back, you see these kind of like reddish tones you know, running along the back here. You can see it transitions really nicely to those reddish tones, and you can see the same thing over here as well. Again, the sculpt is absolutely excellent, and the paintwork is honestly perfect for this. As you move back along the back of the figure, you can see again more more of the mixtures of reds and pinks. You can see it just kind of splattering along, kind of giving it like a slightly speckled look in certain areas, which looks really cool. The skin texture, again, although you would expect really quite fine skin texture for an axolotl, they've definitely given it that axolotl look while giving it also the kind of kaiju look with the way that the skin is textured, which looks really cool. You can see kind of like some bumpy areas of the skin popping up here and there as you lead along. You do, of course, have some nice articulation in the figure, so in the head you can turn the head left and right and also up and down, and you see you've got two areas of articulation, so you've got another spot right here, which again then allows you to basically display this any way you want, allowing you just countless possibilities as far as the way you can articulate and pose the head and neck. Moving down, you do also have arm articulation, which again can go forward and back and out away from the body, so lots of really nice mobility there. You have the elbow articulation as well as the ability to swivel that spot, and then you also have wrist articulation, and again you can swivel the wrist as well, which is pretty much the standard articulation in the arms of a Ricsan Custom Toys figure. You move down, you can see the fingers. Also looks super creepy. Definitely a very cool sculpt as far as that goes. Again, that's nightmare fuel for sure. As you move down into the midsection of the figure, you do of course have another area of articulation right here, which can swivel and also move back and forth and side to side actually. So you can, again, basically iron out whatever pose you want in that area. As we continue to move down, we have the very cool pinkish tones with, again, those darker pinks or reds moving along the back of the figure. We also have some really bumpy areas of the skin texture as we move down further, almost like bordering on being like ridges moving down along the back or spikes. As you lead down into the leg, you can see again the skin texture looks really well done in the thigh. We can also see the musculature of the thigh. We can see the knee and the front of the leg. And as we move down, we of course have more areas of articulation. You can move the legs forward and back and also out away from the body. You have knee articulation forward and back, and again can kind of swivel, but the way that the leg is kind of thinned out there sort of prohibits some major swiveling, but the leg can come out away from the body, and you can of course swivel the ankle, which allows you to again basically get that leg displayed out, and turned if you want to kind of display it that way. And then you can also of course articulate the foot up and down, forward and back basically. You can see the toes as well look really cool. A little webbing between the toes, kind of, you can see in like the early areas of the toes. As they extend out, obviously the webbing disappears, and you've got really cool looking toes for the figure as well. And then we lead down along the course of the tail, and as you can see, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 areas of articulation leading out through the tail. You can see the pinkish tones and the reddish tones and stuff, and of course those areas of articulation allow some really nice posability for the tail, again basically allowing you to pose it whatever way you would like. Tons of possibilities as far as this one goes when it comes to your display options. You do also have a light yellowish tone if we reposition the neck, because I have it all mangled up now from articulating it. But you do have a yellowish tone moving down along the underbelly of the figure, and you can see the skin texture continues to look really good, and I feel like the yellowish tone is a very nice naturalistic tone of color to add to this. It looks exactly as it should, and you can see, first of all, we have the Ricsan logo on the underside of the foot. You can also see that this was released this year, and you can also see again the light tone running all the way along the underside of the tail. So that is absolutely awesome and so much cooler than I even expected it to be. Again, a kaiju version of an axolotl is awesome. For a size, lengthwise, you were looking at about, from the snout to the tail, around 9 inches or 23 centimeters. And then for a height, right there would be the highest point, just a hair under 5 3/4 inches, or right around 14.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect A human being next to our super cool Ricsan Custom Toys. Axoloteotl, and you can see again that the figure is pretty much right there in the same similar size range you usually see for the Ricsan Custom Toys figures, so not really too far off. And to show you that, there is our 1962 King Kong stepping in for a comparison. Obviously, it's a bit taller, but if we bring in similar style creatures like the Stan Winston Godzilla, you can now see again that they are very similar in size overall, and they also look crazy cool next to each other. Man, I just absolutely am in love with this design. We've also got a Playmates Godzilla stepping in here for a comparison, which you can see again if you strictly collect the Playmates line. Maybe you're newer to Godzillas and stuff, so like you've only been collecting since the Godzilla and Kong films came out, then hopefully this comparison will help to give you an idea of the size. We've also got an SH Monster Arts Godzilla stepping in here again to help give us another idea of the size. It's just a little bit taller than our Ricsan Custom Toys release. And then our final comparison is with the Hiya Toys King of the Monsters Godzilla, which we can see is a little bit taller, a little bit bigger in general. So Ricsan Custom Toys has done it again. They have delivered yet another insanely cool figure, but this time they've gone ahead and created the figure entirely on their own, with their own artistic vision kind of brought to life here with an axolotl turned into a kaiju. And I must say, it's got to be one of the coolest looking kaiju figures I have ever seen. First of all, it's pink, and that is awesome. Talk about a really cool looking, really kind of standout coloration for a kaiju. You are definitely going to be drawn to a kaiju that is pink. On top of that, the sculpt is fantastic. It has such a cool look to it, perfectly capturing the look and feel of an axolotl, but also the look and feel of a kaiju kind of combined into one. I could actually see this being a movie, and I would definitely watch it. And not only would I watch it, I would be very much so anticipating the release of it. So definitely a really cool design as a whole. Very impressive skin texture, really highly detailed throughout. The paintwork again is nicely done with the different variations of pinks and reds and even yellows on the underside. And it again resembles the coloration of an axolotl as well, I think, quite nicely. Of course, on top of all of that, it is loaded with articulation, as these Ricsan Custom Toys figures always are, giving us, again, another absolutely fantastic release from Ricsan Custom Toys. So if you are interested in grabbing this and adding it to your collection, I will include links in the description to the social media accounts of Ricsan Custom Toys, as well as their email address, whether you have social media or not. Again, the email address will help you to get a hold of them and contact them about purchasing some of these incredible figures. So make sure you do that, and of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.